Now, in the past few days, 17 trucks have been set ablaze in 3 different provinces. And authorities say the motive is unclear. Now, while some people have labelled the attacks as arson, or rather sabotage the economy, others have likened them to the July 2021 unrest. The hunt, though, is on for the perpetrators, and more police officers have been deployed on highways. So, does the government and the police services have a handle on the matter? We have Tshwane University of Technology professor in safety and security management, Professor Jacob Mofokeng, who joins us from Prague in the Czech Republic. Good morning to you, Prof, and thank you so much for joining us. Earlier on, you were just reflecting that it's quite warm where you are while we endure the bitter cold, but nonetheless, good morning to you. And your reaction to the latest spike in truck fires and attacks, can we say it is economic sabotage? Is it arson? What is going on?
Good morning, Sindy and eNCA. Viewers. Well, if you reflect on what is currently happening in South Africa, and you trace back from 2019 up to now, we are now talking over more than 2,000 trucks that have been torched. Then the question is then, what has been done, from the past 5 years until now? And we also, as you mentioned, on the issue of July 2021, before that public riots, trucks were still being torched. And by that time, we're talking about around 35 or 37 of trucks. Then eventually, we had that public unrest. So now, we are talking about what the police are indicating as a reaction to what is already has been happening for many years. We are now looking at policing without intelligence, which means then the state of our policing in South Africa, is going nowhere slowly. Looking at a lot of structural problems within the police as well as within the intelligence, sector. We know that, during the State Capture Commission, the Chief Justice made recommendations in terms of what needs to be done, for the president to institute reforms, within various aspects or within various departments within the government. And then we saw the appointment of a new Inspector General in October 2022, to look at the 3 entities, the police, the State Security Agency, as well as the Defense Force, that they should not be an abuse of power, but also they should work effectively based on their mandates.
All right, Prof, just before you continue, just to explain that you're saying under the circumstances, it seems that the reaction from the security cluster is policing without intelligence. In other words, you are chasing a target of which you don't know its location. We don't have particular profile of these perpetrators, and it could be random acts. In other words, we're just drawing at straws. What does that say then about the security, not only of the the trucking sector, but also the economy?
Well, it shows that the accountability is not there from the government. You look at these entities where they lack independence. There's always interference from political sectors. So eventually, then it will affect ordinary people in the country where there will be high unemployment. And we are looking now at the high rate of unemployment, around young people. We look at the issue of ESCOM stage, like now that you are mentioning, we are going to have stage 4. We are looking at the loss of economy, loss of employment, and eventually this, directly or indirectly, it's going to affect, many households whereby others will resort to crime. And because of the absence of effective intelligence in South Africa, many people will be encouraged then to resort to crime because there will be high probability that when they commit this crime, then they will not be arrested. So we are talking about a ticking time bomb within the South African environment where, the lack of efficiency within the police as well as within the crime intelligence. So the police will function always reactive, and then we will only know on paper that we have the so-called crime intelligence, but we don't see, the efficiency of crime intelligence based on what is happening currently in South Africa. There will be major, catastrophic, because, we'll always react. I mean, look at these people, how well organized they are in terms of torching these trucks, and police will forever, be reactive. We talked about, fourth industrial revolution, and we look where the subs is. When are we going to be able to utilize, tools such as drones? We look at the issues of, zamazamas, and how, the police are even afraid to follow them because of the danger imposed upon the police. We look at how, the state, seems to be so inefficient in terms of responding and addressing fears of crime and victimization, and then currently, within our environment. So it talks about hopelessness, where the state could not really respond to the societal issues that are at the fore, and then they need to be able to step up to the
Prof,
plate.
I just want to take you a little bit back where you had made a correlation to the July 2021 unrest. Are you saying this is just a pattern or continuation of a behavior, a misdemeanor, be it from the perpetrators, or were these the looters that were active in the 2021 July unrest? Or we don't know, really. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, look at the unfolding of many events, and some of them there's a pattern, and whereby it will provide red flags to efficient law enforcement to be able to respond adequately on time. We expect that crime intelligence supposed to that it's got two types of operations: the covert operations, of which we are not private to the operations, as well as the overt, whereby they need to make use of networks where they utilize informers. But we don't see that, efficiency. And hence that, what we are seeing, what will always unfold before us, are incidents that prepared, any law enforcement agency to say that this is what is about to happen. The issues of riots, we saw in advance that, something is boiling and something is coming up. But what happened? South African Police Service was nowhere to be found. Now we see the issues of trucks being tortured. This is a pattern, and we are always, provided with the hints that, we need to respond on time on this particular issue. But most of the times we are always forever reactive. So there are trends that indicate, that indeed we are led without really being, more intelligence, more decision making, within those that are within the law enforcement agencies. If you look at the Minister of Police, he will always forever recycle whatever that he said with the previous incidents, and forever then there will be new incidents. That also prepared us, but we seems like we are going around in circle.
All right, and we always borrow from international best practices and how it's done, especially when it comes to law enforcement, law and safety and security. But I think an issue around the porous borders we have as well, Prof, is a problem. We may be dealing with undocumented, foreign national or criminal elements. These could be international syndicates. It's worrying that at this point we still can't pinpoint where exactly the level of violence is coming from.
Well, yes, indeed. You look at how government departments, they are working in silos, and immigration, the Department of Home Affairs, Department of Labor, the South African Police Service, then, and also, the Department of Transport. then we have to come to a point where there will be a harmonization of legislation whereby, if you stop a truck driver, then you have to be able to assess whether that person, has been employed in terms of, required regulations, without violating other things. Yes, we have porous borders in South Africa, but then what is it been done, until this far? Because the problems have been there, and then we're always reacting in terms of this. So if the president appointed ministers and ministers seems not to be performing, and then they are dragging feet in terms of amendment of certain legislations, and for all the ministers, we're talking about the 4 ministers working together to be able to ensure that it is not only the responsibility of the South African Police Service.
All right, Prof, I'm afraid we're out of time, but really appreciate you coming through for us this morning all the way from Prague in the Czech Republic. And we wish you well, and thanks indeed. That is a security expert, Professor Jacob Mofokeng, reflecting on the attacks on the truck. 17 trucks have been torched thus far.